Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to our webinar this afternoon about HR services through the Employers Association of the Northeast and our partnership with them. And so we're super excited to have Allison Ebner with us and her colleague Marquita Rhodes. So I'm going to just go ahead, Allison, and turn the time over to you. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Amanda. And thanks to you and Ellen for the great partnership that we've had it's been a year already, which I can't believe. We're, coming to the end of summer, a little over a year. And it's been, I think it's been a really productive and fruitful collaboration here between our two organizations. Before I get started, I will just share a few stats with all of you. So how many of you have actually used the hotline service already? Karen, great. Okay. And Ellen, yeah. So that's great. I will talk a little bit about the types of services that we offer. I will say that we're thrilled with the usage that we're seeing from the libraries that belong to the consortium. We've had almost 70 calls recorded since we've started our partnership here. And that's a really, really fantastic sign that HR questions are coming from all of you, that hopefully you're getting the answers that you need. And hopefully if you haven't called us yet and you're on this Zoom today, that will give you some impetus to maybe reach out and connect with us on things. I was sharing with Amanda when I logged in that the vast majority of the calls, 63% or so, have been around employee relations issues. So that's anything from I've got an employee that said or did this to another employee, to performance management, to professional development, to complex issues regarding managing our people, right? So that certainly has been the number one topic from members of the consortium. I think other topics have been around policies, leaves of absence, and things of that nature. So just to give you a sense of those 70 or so calls, what folks are actually calling us about here at the association. So what I'd like to do is take the opportunity to share my screen quickly and just kind of give you an overview of all the things that that you're able to take advantage of as part of this relationship, thanks to your membership with the consortium. So let me switch this view, and hopefully you're seeing the home screen here. So great, I'm seeing thumbs up, nodding heads. Thanks, Ellen. And, just a little snapshot about us at Employers Association. So not Marquita and I, my colleague, we are not 100 years old, but the association is over 100 years old. And we are a nonprofit. We were founded to help support the people process in manufacturing organizations. But we have expanded over time, and now our membership is very inclusive of all types of organizations, including many nonprofits, organizations, financial services, professional services, healthcare, retail. So we've got a really broad scope of about 1,025 members across the Northeast. Our corporate office is in Agawam. We've got individuals that are working, a hybrid schedule and even fully remote across New England that support us. And as an association, an employers association, we are one of 24 of these types of groups across the country. So we're not a standalone, there's many of us across the country. And as I mentioned, we've got a little over 1,000 members across New England right now. We've got about a 90% retention of those members on an annual basis. And they're varied across size and industry. We've got members that have 5 employees that are on the smaller scale, which I know many of you as libraries are. And then we've got entities like Bay State Health Systems that have 12,000 employees. So really our services are broad enough where we can capture and support a lot of different sized organizations. So what's culture anyway, right? This is a snapshot of our team having some fun. It looks like standing on the edge of a cliff. We're really not. But that's who we are. We're a local presence, right? So when you have maybe an employee relations issue or a challenge, or you need a policy, I don't want you to feel like you're calling a 1-800 number that you're going to get somebody in Washington State, right? Or California or Tennessee. Nothing wrong. Those are all lovely states, but we are all here and we're all in New England. We're a team that's, full time, devoted to our members and devoted to our collaborative partners like CLC. So this is us. You're actually getting a human face that's part of the Employers Association when you call us. And we do like to have fun. So what do we do? What's our charge and how can we best support you as you've got a library to run? Lots of moving parts. We know, we understand. We're getting to know that a little better as we're chatting with all of you on a more regular basis. We provide employment law guidance. So whether it's federal or state, we are tracking any changes in the law. We've got an e-alert that is a message that goes out. Some of you may have seen those. If you get them from Amanda and Ellen, who are sharing those on your behalf from us on non-competes. So if a state court has struck down the non-compete. So that's e-alerts coming out this afternoon. We're tracking all that information. When paid leave came out in Connecticut, we were on top of that. We were communicating with actually the Department of Paid Leave and provided some supportive information and conversation from our members about how to structure that particular law. We have an entire HR consulting arm of the business, and we'll talk a little bit more about how we can help you there. Certainly recruiting and talent, it's interesting, right? I just saw the Department of Labor has released some information today that they overestimated the job growth for last month by 800,000 jobs. Now, I don't know about you. It's kind of like being a weather person, I guess. You don't have to be exactly right at the Bureau of Labor Statistics if you're off by 800,000 people. But that information's coming out. So we track all of that data and we're looking at the job market and ways we can help support you there. And then we have a whole bunch of training that we offer as well around people development, professional development, and also human resources, if that's something that might be beneficial to you. So here's the roller coaster, right? We know it can be a roller coaster when we're talking about our people process. So because you're a member of CLC, you can contact us and it's a free call. We've got 7 certified HR professionals standing by on a daily basis that you can call between the hours of 8 and 5, Monday through Friday. And these are the kind of topics. And we've got some more specific hotline questions that I want to share with you that we can support you with. You may not know who to call. You probably don't want to call an employment law attorney. Sometimes we need our attorneys, but most of the time when we're calling them, we don't want to spend $300 or $400 an hour to get that advice and guidance. Your call to EANE is completely free. We don't mind if you call us a few times on the same subject. That happens all day long. We take 5,000, 6,000 calls a year from our members. Some call on a regular basis. Others call only a couple of times. We want you to contact us when you have challenges like this. Employee relations, when you've got compliance challenges, when you have too much on your plate and you're looking to prioritize things and you have questions about HR policies or processes. You're having trouble, maybe you've got some turnover issues. Give us a call. We can try to troubleshoot that with you and help guide you down a different path that might help your track record with hiring. How can I improve my culture? We're all looking at doing that as the job market changes today. We've got 50%, we talk a lot around here about Zoomers to Boomers, the different generations in the workplace. And, we've got Gen Z and millennials that are comprising 40 to 55% of our workforce today. That means we have to do things differently, right? So if you have those kinds of challenges, we definitely want to talk to you. We can probably provide some guidance. So specifically, what is our relationship with CLC? You have unlimited access as a member to our hotline service. Again, Monday through Friday between 8 and 5. You saw those smiling, laughing, goofy faces in the picture. Those are the people, some of them that are going to be answering the call to you. They're not scary, they're super friendly, and they're very easy to talk to. We've also shared some toolkits, which you have access to through the CLC website. Things like onboarding and recruiting. So those are the resources you can take advantage of as well. You have access to some of our HR webinars, which I've got a slide coming up that will talk about the next couple that you can take advantage of. Discounts on training as leaders in your libraries. If you say to yourself, yeah, I could sharpen my leadership skills, right? I might want to sit with some colleagues that are at my level, at the managerial level, and learn about ways I can enhance my leadership skills. Everybody can do that, even if you're at the top of the food chain. We've got some training programs that might be of interest to you. Marquita sat in on one of our most popular programs today, Leading Different Work Styles. We do a lot of work with DISC, and that helps guide you to recognize the type of person that you might be dealing with to help structure your communication and your motivation a little differently. So it's those types of offerings, and you get a discount on all of these things just by being a member of the CLC. HR projects, we've got some libraries that have engaged us for handbook services, compensation benchmarking, and things of that nature. So we are having some conversations with libraries that have reached out to us to say, hey, can you help me price out a job, within my library or a couple of jobs? And we want to refresh our handbook. What policies do we need? What might we want to update and things like that? That's a great hotline call to start. And if it needs to go further and you need to engage us for some HR services, we definitely can provide those for you. And again, all at a discount. If you decide you want the full Monty of offerings from an EANE membership standpoint, which which includes all of our monthly webinars, all of the access to our member portal and toolkits, you would get a discount on that as well. So it's really pretty comprehensive across the board. So Hotline is certainly our most popular benefit, I think, in general for all of our members, but also, as I mentioned, from the library members that we've been hearing from CLC. So what are some of the calls we're getting? Employee relations, yes. Compliance, we talked about. How about safety? Through COVID, we had a lot of questions on safety there, but we also have a lot of resources around workplace violence prevention. You're all public spaces where you've got people coming in and out. If you want to look at what we have for services around workplace violence policies, prevention training, we've got resources there. Certainly compensation and benefits information, questions about leaves of absence, policies around that, whether they're for your handbook or best practices as you're managing people. We have a lot of resources around diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging that we can share with you as well. We talked about recruiting and talent attraction and retention, right? I think they're calling it, this is the time of the big stay right now, where candidates are moving less from job to job because the job market is contracted right now. We know that, again, those numbers are going to get walked back by 880,000 for positions that opened up last month. So in general, the market is a little compressed at the moment. So we're seeing people stay longer. And that's just a leveling out. That's part of the wave that we've been riding with employee attraction and retention. Record keeping, policies and forms, all topics that are great for the hotline if you've got questions. So I'll stop there. Are there any questions that anyone has or any thoughts or comments? Feel free. We're a nice small group today, so you can unmute and jump right in if you have anything.
May I ask can it be a specific question that you might have about like a specific employee, or are these more general questions like performance management, tell me all about it? Or can it be like, I have an employee who is doing XYZ and help me?
Scott, that is a great question. It's very situational. We don't want to hear, your generalization. We want to really be able to drill down and help you with you saying, hey, I've got a problem with Marquita. She's doing X, Y, and Z.
Well, I didn't mean to say it in the open group, but that's what it is.
Yeah, Marquita,
Marquita,
what are
I've
you
been
up
meaning to talk to you
to?
now for weeks. No, but Allison, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a wise
Yeah.
ass, so go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think we want to hear it. We want to hear you say, I've got an employee who said this to another employee, and this is the reaction. I had other employees overhear this, and I'm really stumped. What do I do? We want to hear specifics. We want to help you in that specific scenario with what you have going on. Because another
Yeah,
important part of this, we're not documenting the specifics of any of the conversation that we're having with you.
right.
What we're doing is saying, hey, Scott called from Milford Public Library with an employee relations question. That's it.
Right.
What that conversation is between you and our HR person doesn't go anywhere except between you and that person. It doesn't get documented anywhere. We might send you an email afterwards and say, hey, Scott, you might want to include this policy going forward based on this issue, right? But very
Yeah.
confidential services.
And it's okay that we do have an HR department here in Milford, but sometimes I might need to ask you guys something, just to
Yeah.
for as I just joked with Ellen. Ellen and I just came out of another meeting. To be backed by competent authority, sometimes it really helps. It really does.
So we work with, largely we're working with HR professionals in an organization who will call and say, okay, I've got this issue. This is what it is. These are the players. This is what I'm going to do about it. Right. And they're looking for us to go, yeah, you're right on target. Right. Or we might say, okay, have you thought about this? We might add a new element into the conversation. But yeah, a lot of the calls we get are we call like just verification calls, right? I'm doing the right thing. Absolutely. Yep. Great question. All right. So what other things are we available to help support you with? This is kind of our entire menu of things that we do. And you'll see the hotlines there. That center blue block is where all of our members get access to all of these things as part of their membership dues on an annual basis. So we have a mini audit tool, again, e-alerts and newsletters. We do a lot of surveys, health insurance related, salary related, national policies, best practices. We have compliance briefings that you have access to some of those as well. Salary and wage data. We do training needs assessments and all of those good things. On the left side there under HR resources, we do compensation plans. We have what we call HR partner. So if you need a project done, you may not have a full-time HR person like Scott does. But if you have a project you want to get done, maybe you want to redo your job descriptions, or you want to do some salary benchmarking, or you want to rewrite a few policies, or you want to create a new performance management plan within your library. We can do that. We can do some partner HR consulting work in that regard. Handbooks, we do engagement surveys, audits, investigations, all of those things as well. And then on the training side of the house, we've got over 30 different training programs that we offer. Leadership development for current leaders, emerging leaders, professional development. We do a lot of computer training as well. So anything Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook related. We've got we've got a trainer she does some really cool things. I think it's my project manager here took a Power Query class. That would stump me in about 3 minutes, but she loved it. It was 3 hours of Excel Power Queries. I would be like, right, like stabbing myself in the head with my pen. Nope, Meg loved it. She loved it. She learned, and now she's doing all these fancy spreadsheets. So all that kind of stuff we've got for you. And we do some conferences too. So that just gives you a bigger picture of EANE and what we do. This is a little bit more of a deeper dive into some of our stronger training programs that might be of interest to you. We do offer customer service excellence. So we're also getting a lot of questions about professional etiquette training. And you'll have to let me know in your professional lives and your personal lives if you've seen kind of a decline in professional etiquette overall, but we're getting a lot of calls for the basics, right? How do I show up at work? Or how are people showing up to work? A little too casual today, maybe. And we've also really fun, an accounting group wanted us to do something for them on professional etiquette, but they also were trying to include like how to have lunch with a client. And they wanted they wanted to teach their new associates, you shouldn't start eating your lunch before your client gets delivered their food. Like we're going back to the basics, everybody, right? So things like that as well are coming back into the mix here. Communication, all of those things. And we've got some HR compliance training that we do as well around how to do my own handbook, how to handle compensation and a plan, how to onboard a new employee correctly, and how to do an internal investigation if you're not an HR professional. So we have a lot of resources for you in that regard too. So as I mentioned, you do have access to upcoming events, and Amanda is on it. So she's already got these on your calendar that you can sign up for. In September, there's an ADA and reasonable accommodations webinar. And in December, we're talking about performance reviews. And I have the link here and I can send this over to Amanda afterwards, but those are already available for you to sign up for in terms of resources. So happy to have you join us for those. Who do we support? We support a lot of smaller businesses that need help and guidance and things of that nature, as we talked about. Some other associations that we support, Printing Industries of New England. We work extensively a lot with the Massachusetts Library Association as well. We work with a group called NEAPA, the New England Amusement Association group, or as I call them, the roller coaster people. Marquita and I just met with them last week. So we've got a really great group of collaborative people that we work with, including all of you. We've got some larger members that might be recognizable for folks: Rocky's Hardware Store, Ken's Foods, you know, some car dealerships. So it really truly is a mix of organizations that we work with, and also a lot of nonprofit organizations too along the way. So I will actually stop sharing and see if anybody has any questions that they want to throw out there.
Well, I'll go again. Should some of the training be like also for like board members, like for example, that performance review or that can, it can be for anybody that's under the umbrella of the CLC as your library. Yeah.
It is. And that's another great question, Scott, because as an organization that works with 12% of our members that are in the nonprofit space, oftentimes it is boards that we're engaged with. We do a lot of recruiting for organizations as well, and boards will engage us directly if they need a new executive director, for example, or a new a new position within their organization. But yes, board members are welcome to join. Absolutely.
And the training sessions, is that you actually coming to my library to do a training session, or is it like a Zoom training session, or what do they entail?
Sure. So we do public training, which happens either in person at a location here in our Agawam Mass Training Center. We do go to locations in
Do we get
Connecticut.
to go to the park? Do we,
You,
do we get, do we,
you could
can we
go to
play? Okay.
you could go to Six Flags. I'm not sure how much training we can do at Six Flags.
Oh, so we have to do the
Uh,
training and then go to Six Flags,
that's right.
or
Or
just do the training. Is
how
that,
about the Big E? We can go get a
I'm just
crazy
saying.
burger after the training. Yeah, we can all go over there.
All right.
But you can come here or you can do it virtually. We offer all of our training programs are offered in person or virtually. And they're typically in 3-hour blocks of time. We know people don't have a lot of time. So even if it's more hours than 3 hours for the training course, we try to chunk it out into 3-hour time blocks. So some of our leadership development programs are longer time spurts. Yeah.
And I will just say I attended a session a couple of weeks ago on self-awareness and adaptability based on the DISC, and it was such a good session, and the trainer was so good. I was blown away with how good the training was.
Thanks, Amanda. It's DISC is one of my favorite things that we do because it gives folks a look in the mirror if you're an individual contributor or you're a leader, and it gives you the ability to really hone in on your EQ, right? Your emotional intelligence to be able to communicate more effectively with others. So yeah, it's everyone should have disc. We discussed this already, Amanda, right? You and I, if we had more disc everywhere, and Marquita and I were talking about it too, there would be a lot less employee relations issues if there was more disc. Yes. More communication. Yep.
So, Allison, I have a question that
Yeah.
recently came up. A member asked me. So, a lot of our library directors report to boards of trustees. And I know that, you always want, the manager to be calling in. The hotline is really for top down,
Yeah.
questions rather than employees calling with
Right.
their own HR issues.
Yeah.
But what about a library director calling and talking about their relationship with their board and managing that relationship? Would that be an okay phone call to make?
100%, yes. And we have that with our nonprofits. We, as a nonprofit ourselves with the board, we certainly understand the challenges there. And again, we've got experience, our team, with helping executive directors, work around certain board issues. And we've got a couple of people on our staff who have more expertise in that area. So we would probably steer those calls to those individuals that could help support. So that's a great example of another phone call that can come our way that makes sense. What we don't want, what we want to avoid is your employees calling us to complain about you. I'm not going to take a call from Karen's, support staff saying, well, Karen said this to me today. We're not doing that, right? So we're supporting you to be the best leaders you can be. So we're not a complaint line for your staff. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm assuming the same thing goes for like volunteers. Like we have friends of the library groups, and sometimes situations arise that, yeah, okay.
Yeah. We work with a lot of museums as well, and have navigated through a lot of challenges, employee relations challenges with employee groups versus volunteer groups, and standardizing policies and best practices for both of those groups. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
I have one.
Hey, Beth.
We have an employee handbook that needs updating, but it's we are lumped in with some town hall employees. So some of the items apply to everybody, and some just apply to library, and some just apply to the town hall. So would we be able to use your service to update that, even though some of the people aren't members of CLC? It's
Yeah, that wouldn't be an issue. I think we would, are they, so they're municipal employees as well, Beth?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we're
Yep.
familiar with that. We have several municipalities that are members, so we're familiar in that space. So we would be able to help you with that. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I always say, when in doubt, just reach out to us. You'll have my contact information. You can reach out to me directly if you've got a question. I'm always happy to help. Amanda and Ellen know where to find me. And our hotline service again is very, very confidential, very welcoming. And even if you're not sure if it's a question we can answer, we're always happy to try and answer it. And if we can't, find you a resource that can help you. So.
So if we wanted to arrange for some kind of trainings for our staff, what's the best way? Would we call the hotline, or would we call you directly, or?
Yeah, Karen, I'd reach out to me on the training because I can walk you through some of the different programs, and we can talk about whether it's a public class or if you've got, a group of employees, we can do what we call an on-site program. So it can just be for your employees. If there's critical mass and you want the message to hit everybody, so we can kind of talk about those differences and which programs might be a good fit.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you bet.
Any other questions while we have Allison here with us? All right. Well, thank you for being here with us, Allison. Thank you for walking us through this. Marquita, thank you also for joining us. Really appreciate your time. And if you have comments, questions, concerns, you know how to find us at CLC. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Oh,
everyone.
I'm
Great
sorry.
seeing
So
you.
Allison, is there a way to contact you directly?
Sure.
Someone said that. Yeah, I just didn't, because there's the 877 number, but there's also like we could call you as well.
You can
Oh, look
reach
at
me
that.
at that number, Scott, but I just popped my email into the chat for you.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
And we do have a page on our CLC website about all of this. So you can also find all of the information that Allison covered on our website.
I can be up at Six Flags in 2.5 hours. I'll see you later.
There you go. It's a good day
Amazing.
for it today.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
We'll see
Thanks,
you next time.
everyone.